Having seen the entirety of this year's Game Awards, I gotta say, this was probably one of the most disappointing events I've watched in a while. Let's start with the pre-show, or as I call it, the warm-up, which by the way had a 1 hour long countdown. Well, technically most of it was just a static image and some music to go along with it, but still, that whole thing was 58 minutes. Right after that huge time waste, Sydney Goodman appeared on our screens to open the event with a wide smile, nice Californian tan, and a big beautiful mesomorphic body. Of course, it didn't take long before we saw our first red flag, and trust me, there are a lot more to come. A little less than last year's, but still quite a few. The introduction was an animated trailer for our first Katana game. Nowadays it's either weeaboo stuff or something super woke and disappointing. Either way, I thought it was actually not a bad entry. It's just a 2D platformer, so it's probably gonna be fun. The music was fine, the characters were alright. I may give it a go next year if I don't forget it even exists. And that's also a rather good segue to the first category, Best Fighting Game. Tekken 8 took this one, not surprised in the slightest. Then we get to see the next announcement, which I suppose is a European game, judging by the way it looks and what it's about. A cozy experience about rearranging objects inside a car so that they all fit. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the people this game was made for can even hold a mouse properly. Using it as a pacifier would probably be more up their alley, so whatever this is supposed to be, a game, a therapy tool, I've no idea, but it's most dead on arrival. Next one was a browser game, and at this point I actually started feeling second-hand embarrassment because last year that same woman said we live in the platinum age of gaming. Where exactly is the platinum content in this? The games they've been making in the past 13 years? The titles they've announced so far? The sanitized corporate humor? Her fake smile? Surely we live in the platinum age. The platinum age of indoctrination and flops. But anyway, moving on to the nominees for the best VR/AR game. Batman Arkham Shadow won that one. I was actually surprised that the superhero game didn't win the first category too. I think there were a couple of nominations too late and definitely should redeem themselves next year. Then we have an absolutely massive title coming straight out of the Platinum Age, made by what appears to be a pioneer in the SJW movement. You know, the OG climate activists, the Great Barrier Reef protectors, Feed the Children in Africa merchants. Many of you don't know this, but this is how it all started. Now those people are making your games. And you can see the raw passion in her eyes, her gaming intuition, all the sleepless nights she spent to get those achievements and clear out dungeons. This is without a doubt a hardcore gamer, someone who definitely knows a thing or two about coding and how to make an engaging experience worth your money. Granted, she's not making the game, it's the man sitting in front of the monitor who does that, but she's a director, guys, come on. Let's not be disrespectful and hope this breathtaking title manages to capture the hearts of at least 14 women with bowl cuts and nose rings on Steam. I think that would be a great number considering that's Laura's first game, but you know, success doesn't come overnight, so patience is paramount. Dave the Diver in the Jungle made it into the announcements too, a sequel to a game I had zero interest in playing, but people liked it and I hope it's for the right reasons. The next announcement was a brand new title that, at least art style wise, looked like a mix between Witch It and Bioshock, and I was kinda curious to see where this was going, but as soon as I saw the stiff movement, that game completely lost me. Like, how can you make a game where the grapple hook is one of the core gameplay mechanics and yet everything looks so static and boring? I have no idea. I'm staying the hell away from this cause it's obviously a waste of time. After those 13 minutes of platinum content, we got to see some esports nominations. Not sure who cares about those, I for sure don't give a damn about esports in the slightest. Oh, would you look at that? A Pac-Man side-scroller, as well as some more cartoon slop that looks like it was made by a Starbucks barista who spent too much time drawing anime girls on their iPad. Of course, to no one's surprise, Games for Impact was yet again an actual category in the Game Awards show. To put it simply, those are basically games for depressed 13-year-old girls who can't cope with the fact that their body is changing, and they also may or may not have too much acne. Those are without a doubt two very good reasons to hate your parents for giving you the present of life about a decade ago, so yeah, I'm definitely not a target audience here, although the actual audience isn't much more numerous than an average sized pub on a Friday evening, but I digress. Is there more room for cozy games? Of course there is. That's why the next reveal was, again, a cozy game about... what's the politically correct term? I'm gonna play it safe here, so I'll say a game about people who haven't quite reached their vertical target, and it looks absolutely disgusting. I actually wish I could forget what I saw. Even the women had fur on their feet. I mean, how low can you go at this point? I'm sure Tolkien is rolling his grave right now and has been for a while. Then we have two more titles I couldn't care less about, just the typical Twitch streamer co-op games with proximity chat. Following those two titles was the Innovation in Accessibility Award. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown got it, and honestly I can't even be mad at this point because it's a lose-lose situation. None of these games are particularly good, all of them are astronomically woke, so for those of you who are still inebriated by Trump's win, as well as Elon Musk's future AI gaming empire, I have bad news for you. Wokeness has not disappeared and it never will. It may subside a bit, but it's most certainly here to stay, and it will be extremely foolish of you to think that the hardest battle has already been won. No, the hardest fights are yet to come, I can assure you of this. Next we have a Terraria / Starbound clone, and the game looks decent. I'm a sucker for those lighting physics in 2D games, and there's mining too, so I'll wishlist it. There's a huge chance I won't play it soon cause I'll be waiting for reviews, but still, it's good to have it bookmarked for later. Now onto the best family game nominations. Astro was the clear winner, and despite the fact that I hate baby games, I really can't complain about it winning, for this title prioritized fun gameplay before everything else. And yeah, good on Asobi Studios for coming out on top in this one. Rematch was a title I'd never heard before. It's always good to see the developers are still making new IPs, but when your game looks as mega gay as this one, high player count is always a distant dream as opposed to a possible reality. The last game announcement during the warm-up show was Solasta 2. The antagonist appears to be a woman with a highly infectious fungal disease, again, purple because that's the color of friendship between both camps, signifying that we should stop fighting and consume the slop together. And now the time has come for the big event. The true one and only Game Awards, created and to this very day run by Hideo Kojima's power bottom, Geoff Keighley. Right off the bat, our favorite Canadian began licking man pouches and vertical mouths, and I'm gonna be completely honest, his aspiring politician's cadence combined with the psychopathic droopy eyes is something I need just once a year for the comedic relief, but I'll most likely get sick of it if it lasts longer than that. Of course, Uncle Geoff didn't turn up unprepared this time around, and he brought with him Stutler and Waldorf, which are without a doubt an allusion to the old school gamer who's stuck in the past and can't accept the fact that his favorite franchises are getting tranified and diversified. Basically, the message was, let it go guys, things are changing, there's a new generation coming to replace you. But I bet those kids flew over most people's heads, and there will still be people debating me in the comments that I'm wrong, even though Geoff himself made it clear that he's aware of what's been going on in the industry, maybe not as a gamer, but at the very least as a games journalist. Now onto the awards. The first main event award was for best performance. Todd Howard, Troy Baker and Harrison Ford came up on stage to announce the winner, while also remind us that there is a new Indiana Jones game, which by the way is more bland than English food, and you should avoid it at all costs. Melina Jurgens, the voice of Senua in Hellblade 2, won the award for the second time, which is a bit strange since no one bought this game. But anyway, the show is completely rigged, so the outcome didn't surprise me one bit. Right after everyone but Geoff left the stage, our favorite Polar American got emotional for the first time during this award, because he got to announce the fourth installment of a game that's probably the third most anticipated title after GTA 6 and Half-Life 3, which is a myth by the way. I'm talking about The Witcher 4. The trailer looked alright, just the generic photorealistic Unreal 5 slop, until they showed the protagonist. Spoilers, it's Ciri, or at least what's left of her. Her voice has gotten deeper, her rack almost entirely gone, and her face completely botched. Now, the wokesters might try and defend their favorite franchise to death and tell me I'm wrong, or maybe attribute her uglification to aging much like they did with Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, but the matter of the fact is that her lower jaw growth, along with the enhancement of her zygomatic bones and eyebrow ridge, are clear signs of developers trying to make a manlier, stronger female. Not to mention that her girl boss energy in the trailer was higher than ever before, so no, I'm not buying that crap. CD Projekt Red is deep into the DEI manure pile, and they don't seem to be getting any better. And that's what I'm saying. Political wins have nothing to do with changes in entertainment. Woke is in full force now, and the only thing we have left is mock and hope for the best. The next reveal trailer almost made our favorite host crying, but it was just yet another Dark Souls / Elden Ring snooze fest. Yeah, I dislike Souls games, deal with it. Then we got to see an ad about a few releases just to remind us they exist. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to PC, great I guess. The franchise has more sequels than some TV series have episodes, so I don't know if I should be excited or completely apathetic towards it. Maybe the latter. Indiana Jones will be released for PS5 next year, probably because it's too buggy and Sony is the platform with the highest quality standards so far, so I bet they need more time to iron out the mess. Then they showed the game about cats. Yeah, that's totally my type of dope. The early access of Path of Exile 2 is now available on Steam and Epic. I might give it a spin just because people are hyping it up. Besides, I enjoy Diablo clones if done right. Next up on stage to present Best Action Game was our boy Abu, the guy who directed the game Zao, again a title nobody bought. Last year he was sobbing about his deceased father just so that more people pity buy his Metroidvania. Now he's opening with a joke about it. Guess what, Mr. Salim? Nobody likes you. That's why you're named Abu, so that people can boo at you by simply calling your name. I'm joking, of course. Or am I? This category featured my favorite Coma game I didn't play just because I don't have a PlayStation 5, but I'll definitely buy the PC release when it comes out. Talking about Stellar Blade, and of course a game like that can never win anything simply because that would offend Geoff Keighley's jury. Why would he risk being in bad terms with Kinda Funny, The Verge, or Pride of all things? Doesn't seem like a particularly good move if you want to remain a cog in the machine. Anyway, Black Myth: Wukong won the award for Best Action. Again, not a great game, but at least it was one of the few new IPs that came out this year, so I can't say I'm mad about this. The following announcement was some kind of a cinematic trailer about a single player mech game. Funny thing is, it didn't even have a title, but that's alright, I like a bit of mysticism myself. The unnamed project appeared to have a theme. It was very black and white, detailed but also stylized. The music was sort of dreamy, a little dark too, but there's literally nothing else to hold on to. No gameplay was shown, not much of the world was shown, just a single scene about a humanoid escaping an apocalyptic event. To be fair, I can't really say I'm excited for this one, just slightly intrigued and that's pretty much it. Civilization 7 had an orchestral entry, it was alright, but it's just not my type of game. Maybe I'll give it a go at some point only because it's a big name in the industry, but I highly doubt it will become something I go back to when I'm not sure what I wanna play. The Outer Worlds tried to be funny once more with their announcement of a sequel, not interested. Right after the absolutely unfunny Outer Worlds 2 reveal, Joseph Fares stood behind the mic to present his next game, and I'm not gonna lie, under different circumstances I would have probably liked this title, but nowadays everything leans towards attracting as much of a broad audience as possible, and this title almost seems like it tries to be everything. The whole vibe is also super gay, incredibly PC and lacking good humor, so I think I'm gonna pass on that too. Then we got to see some ads with a pinch of trans propaganda in them, nothing out of the ordinary. The Fragpunk reveal was yet another colorful diversity checkbox shite that nobody will remember in 2 years time. It's just the Titanfall card burning, but the abilities and debuffs are pretty much pranks, so yeah, good luck with the launch I guess. The Killing Floor 3 gameplay trailer looked awful. There was not a single white man in it, that is, if we don't count Mr. Foster because he's got a gas mask on, and I have a really bad feeling about this one. I think Tripwire has tripped over the wire and has fallen into the walk pit, which is a shame. I guess now they're coming for the franchise, I enjoy it too. Gotta brace myself, don't I? The next 5 minutes were dedicated to game developers who lost their jobs during the recent and also not so recent layoffs. Uncle Geoff was again dancing around the reason why that's been a thing, even though he absolutely knows it. And you could clearly see the victims, a white guy of the Western European variety, quite possibly replaced with a guy or not a guy of the non-white variety, simply because that's how the cookie crumbles these days. Then we get to see a couple of adult goth chicks who probably think that getting hard is the hardest part of the trials, then it all goes smoothly and without much effort from their side. Well, I guess they missed the part where skill and results also matter, and that's pretty much the reason why they got the shoes all to the rear. The guy acting as the job market catalyst got up on stage, he cried a little, got his statuette, and then he was escorted to the backstage only to make way for the next trailer that actually got me a bit worried at the beginning, but soon after I saw it's not a favorite game of mine getting a remake or a sequel. That being the case, I might give Steel Hunters a go when it's out because it looks somewhat decent. Besides, it's free to play, so there's nothing to lose really. Then we got a sneak peek at a Canadian game called Black Frost. It looked rather stylized, probably relying heavily on survival, which is definitely my thing, but to me Canada is one of the main antagonists when it comes to the battle against woke, so I won't support that. Just have a look at companies like Ubisoft and BioWare. They've completely surrendered themselves to DEI and are now the epicenter of big number of controversies. The only good stuff that comes out of Canada now is music, namely death metal. As for well-made games, that ship has long sailed. Randy Pitchford couldn't resist and showed his cringe on stage. The Borderlands 4 trailer actually got me thinking how long it had been since I played the Borderlands game. 8 years? 10 years? Maybe even 12? Not exactly sure, but I don't necessarily miss the franchise to be fair. I'll probably have to play through at some point just to have a complete picture of the entire storyline up until 4, and also so that I can make a more detailed video when the sequel drops. The second half of the Game Awards show was marked by the inclusion of Clive from Final Fantasy into Tekken 8's roster, cool I guess. Right after Clive's cameo, we got to see 4 categories in a row: Most Anticipated Game, Best Multiplayer Game, Best Community Support and Best Art Direction. And the winners were respectively GTI 6, Helldivers 2, Baldur's Gate 3 and Metaphor ReFantazio. I just love how Baldur's Gate 3's presence is still being felt around every corner just to remind studios how how shit they've become. Mind you, Baldur's Gate 3 was without a doubt the buggiest game I played in 2023. It was also infinitely woke, but it still swept in almost every category. At some point I kinda felt bad for other gaming studios, and that comes from a guy who has the current gaming industry, just saying. Splitgate 2 now looks even gearier than the first game. I'm not exactly sure how they achieved that, but apparently it's possible. Can't say I like the first game all that much either. As far as shooters with portals go, one should at the very least be able to have more fun. When everything is so floaty and slow, your only viable strategy is portal camping. Overall good idea, but incredibly stupid execution. They should have made this game on the Source engine, put a very high cap on the RXL rate, and let people have some damn fun. But alas, Unreal is just not it, and it seems they're using it for the sequel too. All I can really say is good luck 1047 games. I hope you won't have to shut it all down soon. Next up we saw Dragon Age The Veilguard and its post-mortem muscle which is being advertised to gamers and the modern audience alike as a humongous success, receiving scores as high as 9 and 10 out of 10 by IGN, PC Games, CG Magazine, etc. And I started contemplating how can Geoff even gather the courage to shield for this absolute disgrace of a sequel after what transpired on release. But then I remembered his circle of close friends and business partners and quickly stopped asking myself stupid questions. Then we got to enjoy some gameplay footage from the upcoming Chinese game Mecha Break. I actually featured this in my most anticipated games video that nobody watched, partially because I'm too shadow banned for people to even find my channel, and also due to the fact that I haven't really covered anything trendy since my Stop Killing Video Games response. But that's alright, my YouTube profile is way past its life expectancy, so I don't really hope for a lot when I make videos. Anyway, moving on to the next underwhelming millennial propaganda, we see Star Wars Outlaws being 35% off under the guise it's a holiday sale, but in reality it's because at the time of making this video there is exactly 751 people playing the game on Steam. There may be 100 more on the Ubisoft app, give or take, but that's pretty much the peak. Care to remind you how many people played this game on release? A little less than 2.5k. That's about as much as a daily cap of a 25-year-old game like Half-Life. And yeah, let that sink in. Fortnite also had to make its routine appearance. It's a game for the masses after all. Can't blame Kojima's girlfriend for wanting to stay relevant. What's even scarier though is that early gen alpha already has nostalgia about games from 2017 and 2018, and it won't be long before some of those people start making games themselves, inspired by the titles they grew up with during the dark ages. Just imagine what an IP made by people who grew up with Fortnite, Apex Legends and Palworld would look like. The future doesn't seem too bright if you ask me. The following 5 minutes had some filler songs from the show Arcane, just to make the whole setting even more dramatic. First singer was one of those breathy type of performance, not exactly my type of singing, but I can appreciate the sheer vocal control one must have to pull that off even for just a minute. Then we saw a Lenny Kravitz wannabe, I wish I couldn't see that, Imagine Dragons for the third act during that 5-minute intermission, and I'm actually curious to know how these guys became so famous. I really don't see anything special about their music, so that's either some insane overnight success story, or they just filled a niche that no other MTV performer dared to fill themselves, and they just went with it for a while, consistently churning out radio-friendly content to one day see themselves at the top of the charts. Honestly, I could be wrong about both, but my intuition tells me it's one of the two, so feel free to fill me on that, cause I'm too lazy to search on my own. Then there was another fighting game, yeah, I'm so excited. Right after that somewhat cryptic trailer, they revealed a new Yakuza-like game called Project Century. I personally don't like such games, yeah, I know it's gory, you can get yourself a courtesan, but this whole Tamil Shanter ultra retro vibe is just not for me. Give me a new shooter, desert maps, peace filter, film grain. I'm sick and tired of watching trailers all day long and not even one of them caters to me. Not a single one of them is killing monsters inside an abandoned base or a spaceship. Not a single one of them is hearing a nade drop right next to your feet. Give me at least one good FPS that's on par with Battlefield 3, Call of Duty 4, Doom 3, Crysis 2, and I'll shut my mouth close. This is why I play retro games. It's because there is nothing, only rubbish Souls-likes, D-makes, D-masters and anime games. Why is everyone avoiding the biggest, most loyal player base that will still be playing until the very last minute of official servers shutting down? Why is no one making games for the boys anymore? I swear, consoles, especially PlayStation 4, ruined everything, and now I'm stuck here waiting and hoping for at least one title that doesn't have rainbow flags, spandex and over-the-shoulder hack and slash combat. Excuse my rant. Anyway, let's see what's next on the chopping board. Hideo Kojima himself stood up in front of the audience to announce the nominees for Best Game Direction. As I thought, Astro grabbed a hold of yet another statuette. Shortly after, a new Turok game was announced, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Now Turok is a third-person shooter and has some weird Venom-like futuristic exosuits in it. They never learn, don't they? Not buying this one, I wanna play as a warrior, a soldier, not a poopy superhero for fuck's sake. Then there was some Hell Diapers to cringe. Yeah, I get it, you're the Terminator and War of the Worlds fans, so basically one of us, the gamers, the geeks, still not buying your game, especially after that PSN account bait and switch. Oh, and let's not forget how the CEO himself defended his deranged community managers going off on normal people in their Discord channel. I bet most of you forgot about that drama, sorry I guess, my long-term memory is sorta good. Warframe's creative director also got her 2 minutes of fame to announce yet another update for their ever-evolving live service free-to-play game. I just want to point out that they're one of the early adopters along with Counter-Strike and Destiny, so if you ever feel like not owning a game, download Warframe and buy all the cosmetics, or don't. You will still own nothing and be happy. Next up we got some Palworld. Now they're going for the Digimon art style since Nintendo got too anal about them quote-unquote copying Pokemon. All I can say is good luck with not getting sued again. It's a tough world we live in and companies like Nintendo are making it even harder. They're literally the Ferrari of the gaming industry. Both of them haven't produced anything good since the 90s and they sue everyone for modding their mediocre creations, thus completely defeating the purpose of ownership. Then we had some more anime games, and just when I started to doze off again, they hit us with an advertisement. Of course we had to commence with the quintessential gamer, an upper middle class black chick tucked into a bento. Also, now every piece of electronics is an Xbox apparently, cause why not? If you can't beat them, infect them. Dollar Store Olivia Munn made a comeback on stage, or rather, somewhere behind the ground to try and sell us some VR stuff, as if I care. Shortly after that, the winners of the first Game Awards presented the nominees for Best Debut Indie Game, and of course, big surprise, Bellatro won again. Then they announced yet another Katana game, followed by some more hack and slash, I assume an isometric title this time around, called Kazan. I might give it a spin next year if I feel like it. Then we got some more anime slop named after a city in Romania. Dying Light 3 looked exactly like No More Me Hell 2, but with parkour in it. Besides, the sequel to Dying Light is objectively worse than its predecessor, so I don't have high hopes for the third installment either. The show continued with another set of nominations. Best Action Adventure was given to Astrobot, Metaphor Fantasio got Best RPG, which is weird because this game came out of nowhere merely 2 months before the end of 2024 and now it's being shielded for so hard it blows my mind. Maybe I should watch the cutscenes, because I'm sure that's like 90% of the game. The rest is probably sporadic enemy encounters and boss fights. But anyway, then we had Content Creator of the Year, that's absolutely irrelevant. Best sports and racing games were again crammed together into a single category, which is kinda sad, since apparently nobody cares about racers anymore. No one is making such games either, so yeah. But no guys, we live in the platinum age of gaming. Gaming isn't dying, in fact it's never been better than before. Yeah, right, you can tell that to your cat or pet snake. Best sim/strategy game award went to Frostpunk 2, again not surprised. Hunt Showdown got shilled by Post Malone, but I recommend against buying this game. Why you ask? Just type in Google search Hunt Showdown female hunters and have a look at their beautiful faces. I can assure you, you will fall in love with at least one of them. Then, just for science sake, type in Hunt Showdown unused concept designs and you'll see what I'm trying to get at. Anyone remember those guys? Now they're having a massive holidays discount on their store page. Care to buy some more games you don't own? Nah, me neither. After a couple more ads, we saw some Squirt games. Never watched the show, so I don't care. Snoop Dogg and his son got to tell everyone watching that they're gonna be making their own game studio and it's gonna revolve around race, a hip-hop gaming universe. If it's anything like GTI San Andreas, I might actually check it, but I highly doubt this will be the case. Judging from experience, it's just gonna be more race grifting, so no, thank you. Then they handed the award for best ongoing game to the director and senior level designer of Helldivers 2. The Game Awards continued with the newest slop from the creators of Overcooked, and I believe it's unnecessary to tell you how woke this game is gonna be. You can just see for yourself the sheer amount of DEI oozing from the screen. Art style is repulsive, characters are horrible, dialogue is atrocious. They just keep coming. A new GOT game will be coming out next year. Thankfully it looked devoid of what the previous announcement had in excess, but let's not get our hopes too high, only time will tell if this is gonna be good or not. Counterfeit Olivia Munn appeared on screen once more to announce a mobile version of Monster Hunter. Not a fan of the franchise and not a fan of mobile games in general, so I'll pass. ARC System Works showed off their new Double Dragon game, and of course there was literally zero gameplay footage, only cutscenes. But if I had to guess, it's most likely gonna be a Tekken style fighting game game. This time around, a bit more censored than the previous releases if I had to go off of the nicely covered butt cheeks of every female opponent. But on the bright side, they still look like women, not some Last of Us 2 abbeys. Then we had some more anime slop, 2 anime slops to be exact, though I'm actually curious about the drifting game. It's not often that we see car games during such events, so I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for screamers for sure. Oh, and speaking of abbeys, The Last of Us 2 was announced for PC in 2025. Do not buy this game. This title is everything wrong with gaming nowadays, minus the microtransactions. Just don't. Stop supporting Sony movie games and walking sims infested with gay feminist messaging. Go play Titanfall, Battlefield 3 and 4, Day of Defeat. There are so many good, dynamic, borderline hectic multiplayer games with cool military vibe to them. Why do you have to buy a game like The Last of Us? I just don't get it. But anyway, the category for best adaptation was presented by a couple of women, one of which voiced Ellie's girlfriend in the second game and the other starred in The Last of Us TV series. They tried to be funny by telling a few puns, but that's not something the opposite sex is particularly good at, so they decided to not waste any more time and gave way to the clips from each nominated show. To no one's surprise, Fallout won this award. Never watched it. I'm just glad they didn't hand it over to a transformed Lara Croft, cause they could have, knowing that the new Tomb Raider has the same build as Abby from The Last of Us does. Ulf Anderson is making yet another heist game, and don't get me wrong, Payday 1 and 2 were pretty decent, the same goes for GTFO, but then the Wolves trailer didn't grab me at all. Maybe it's because of the color scheme, maybe it's the characters' designs, or simply because the title appears to be geared towards people who have a boner for Japan. Either way, if the game is good, I might give it a spin. I don't expect it to become my next time sink based on what I watched, but we'll see. If for some reason you missed your daily dose of anime games in this year's Game Awards show, I got one more for you. Good thing they covered our next waifu's butt cheeks with frilled underwear in case someone accidentally took a peek at her bare ass and got a nosebleed as a result. MikkDouble truly cares for gamers and their well-being. Absolute legends. And of course, the show went on to presenting some more gacha anime slop. Snoop Dogg got up on stage again. This time around he was talking over a very simple beat. I don't know what his deal was, but the attendees seemed to enjoy this cacophony. Not long after Snoop Dogg's stage walk around, Geoff Keighley mentioned his second favorite island. Then we were blessed with some more ads featuring only oppressed minorities, some more Fortnite, baby games, cape shit, you know, usual suspects. Some guy I know nothing about, called Khalid, got behind the mic to announce best score in music. Again, Stellar Blade was robbed, Final Fantasy got a statuette, and I wonder why. Maybe it's because Japanese studios have been infiltrated by Western ideology, and Geoff Keighley is trying super hard to shield for progressivism and make sure he's on the right side of history. Just maybe. The next reveal trailer, or a short, was a Sonic car game. I don't care about Sonic. Mafia's origin story made it to the awards as well. Hunger 13's last game from the series, or should I say their last remaster, was horrible, so my expectations for Mafia the Old Country are obviously pretty low. And since this is the Game Awards after all, Uncle Jeff had to cut in with some more nominees. Best indie game was given to Bellatro. Best mobile game, again, taken by Bellatro. And at this point it started feeling like a Bellatro sweep, and I was thinking, are they really doing it? Is a card game made by one guy really gonna win this? That would have been wild actually. But anyway, best audio design was handed over to Hellblade 2, and the winner for the player's voice category was Black Myth Wukong. I presume the last one was the 10% that supposedly have nothing to do with the jury, or basically the votes of those who visited the Game Awards website and supported their favorite game. Now, would you believe me if I told you there's some more weeb games coming your way? I bet you would, so here we go, have some more weeb games. The Mafia franchise is on sale until the 19th of December. Cool, I guess. Google Play is now available for Windows users, which in my opinion should have happened a long time ago, but anyway, who am I to judge? Laura Bailey, the meth guy from Breaking Bad, who was also absolutely hammered, came up on stage to announce the game they worked on separately, and the title in question is, to put it nicely, one of the wokest things I've seen all year. It's basically an interactive movie about a white guy with no superpowers who gets bullied by women with superpowers. It was such a blatant propaganda, I was taken aback for a hot second. Honestly, can't wait to play this slop and review it. This is literally Dustborn levels of wokeness and I'm all for it. Next up on the shiny stage we saw Sam Lake and his unironically funny inner monologue. I thought it was cringe enough to make me crack a smile. He announced the winner for best narrative. It was Metaphor Fantasio, would have thought. The following announcement pushed Jeff on the brink of tears. It was Okami 2. It's actually been so long I forgot this game even existed. Might give it a try next year, but honestly I'm so fed up with Japanese culture that this doesn't feel refreshing one bit. Then we saw the gameplay trailer for Crimson Desert. Looks alright, just a generic Unreal 5 action RPG, it will most definitely be hella buggy at launch, big access media streamers and YouTubers will absolutely shill for it, so I recommend watching unbiased reviewers before buying this. I know it's hard and there aren't many such people left, but you know what, maybe try and read the negative Steam reviews first and make up your mind based on them. I think that's the safest bet. And the final game reveal is a brand new title made by the same people who created The Last of Us, talking about Naughty Dog of course. Judging by the trailer, which almost made me vomit by the way, the story will be about, I presume, a lesbian woman who's also a mix of every race possible. She's basically strong-willed, space bounty hunter living in her retro-futuristic spaceship. The battle scars on her shaved head tell a story about someone adventurous, someone who can take a beating but also kicks a lot of ass for she's the main character. And that whole girl boss diversity checkmarks bonanza is everything I'm fighting against. So no matter how hard Geoff Keighley is trying to create a new gaming icon, I really hope that normal people who can see through the DEI bullshit avoid this title like the plague. I wish this game flops harder than Star Wars Outlaws, resulting in Naughty Dog's shutdown, which in turn will be a huge win for us real gamers. But maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself. I actually doubt it, the Santa Monica studio will be disbanded anytime soon, but the flop is inevitable, mark my words. So the time has come for the Game of the Year reveal, and I presume a lot of you have already watched the show, so I'll spare you the natter and say that Astro winning was probably the best outcome for everyone. You see, people like Geoff are the type of guys who don't want to make enemies. They always try to please as many people as possible, cater to the normies, because that's what their business inclined brain tells them to do. No one really hates Astrobot, even people like me who dislike baby games. I just can't say anything bad about it. And that's exactly the reason why this game won. It's because it's the safest bet. PlayStation 5's mascot doesn't have a race. It doesn't have gender. It's just a little mechanical toy in a world of jelly bean made props that brings joy to both young and adult people. Not to mention that Astrobot is also a very competent game, well designed and bug free. So at the end of the day, our favorite Canadian found a way to shut the mouths of both camps, strengthen his bond with Sony even further, and last but not least, go to bed worrying less about what next day's publications would write about him. I may not like him for what he's doing to the gaming industry, but I also can't deny the fact that he's rather intelligent. What was less intelligent, however, was Sven speech right before he announced the winner. Or maybe he doesn't really care all that much about maintaining friendships anymore. Either way, I think his speech was still heavily curated so that he doesn't come across as being cynical. I noticed how he hesitated saying the word politics, maybe because he thought he was pushing it a bit, but still I commend him for having the balls to say the things he said at the Game Awards ceremony of all places, not once, but twice in a row. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the Game of the Year awards overview. Astrobot, a new title made by 65 actual developers, won the big trophy. Some titles like Warhammer Space Marine 2 were absolutely snubbed. Original new IPs like Stellar Blade were hated by the jury for they were jealous of an animated character, which in turn led to people who put their heart and soul into making something cool and nice to the eye winning nothing. Wokeness was in full force throughout the entire event, and boredom was guaranteed. If you like this video, make sure to press the like and subscribe buttons. Just so you know though, I'm not a news channel. I'm not Smart JT, Dr. Disaster, or that comic book couple I forgot the name of. I'm just me, I make videos whenever I can. My average is one video a month, sometimes two if I have the energy for it, so don't be surprised if a review doesn't pop up in your feed tomorrow. As of now, that's all I can offer, so yeah, stay awesome and we'll see each other sooner than ever. I'm out.